Kailyn Lowry's life has never been simple, and perhaps that is the reason people continue to follow her story so closely after more than a decade. When audiences first met her in 2010 on MTV's 16 and Pregnant, she was just 17, a high school senior from Pennsylvania, preparing for the arrival of her first child while juggling fractured family ties and the uncertainties of young adulthood. Few could have predicted that one day she would be the mother of 7 children, raising them in the public eye, yet constantly trying to shield them from the harsher glare of fame. Now, in 2025, her life is a sprawling portrait of modern motherhood. Complex, messy, deeply human, and always evolving. It begins with Isaac Elliott, now 15, the boy who once entered MTV history as baby Isaac Rivera. Born in January 2010, he arrived when Kailyn was still figuring out who she was and who she wanted to become. His father, Joe Rivera, shared a rocky relationship with Kailyn that unraveled before Elliott could even form his earliest memories. Their custody battles, their fights, their reconciliations, all of it became fodder for Teen Mom 2. Yet over time, the drama softened into something more durable, as co-parenting gradually turned into cooperation and then into genuine respect. Elliott himself has grown up to be thoughtful, articulate, and strikingly independent-minded, perhaps because he has spent much of his life having strangers comment on who he is or who they think he might become. In June 2025, he appeared on his mother's podcast, Barely Famous, and quietly but firmly announced that he now wished to go by his middle name, Elliott, and that he was coming out publicly during Pride Month. The decision was deeply personal, and he made it clear he wanted to seize ownership of his own story rather than let others tell it for him. He explained his frustration at being treated as a character rather than a person, saying he was tired of people inventing narratives about his life and spreading them without his consent. What mattered to him was authenticity, and in that moment, listeners could hear how profoundly Kailyn's oldest child had inherited both her strength and her desire for autonomy. Elliott is not just carving out space for his identity, he is exploring creativity too. He plays piano and is dabbling with guitar, though he admits that practicing is not his favorite part of the process. He plays basketball, has a sharp wit, and most intriguingly, harbors dreams of becoming a writer. Perhaps it is no coincidence that his mother has already authored several books. Perhaps he has absorbed from her the belief that storytelling can be a way to understand oneself and make sense of the world. Kailyn has often remarked that she and Elliott grew up together, and there is truth in that observation. She was barely out of adolescence when he was born, and now, 15 years later, she sees in him qualities she admires deeply: curiosity, openness, compassion, and the courage to form his own ideas about people rather than rely on preconceived notions. While Elliott represents the beginning of Kailyn's motherhood journey, her second child, Lincoln Marshall, now 11, symbolizes the middle years when she was trying to balance ambition, love, and the chaotic realities of young marriage. Born in November 2013 during her relationship with Javi Marroquin, Lincoln grew up in the shadow of his parents' volatile marriage and divorce. Yet what stands out today is not the turbulence of that relationship, but Lincoln's own identity as a spirited, athletic, deeply loyal boy. From the time he was small, Kailyn described him as sporty, a child happiest with a ball in his hands. Whether it was basketball or football, he has an innate competitiveness, yet beneath it, he has the softest of hearts. She calls him a nurturer, a big brother who steps into the role of caregiver without being asked. In particular, his bond with little Rio is striking. He dotes on his toddler brother with an attentiveness that makes Kailyn smile, joking that Lincoln acts like a second father. But 2025 has been a year of adjustment for Lincoln. His father's career in the Air Force required relocation to Virginia, forcing the family to reconfigure custody arrangements. Where once Javi and Kailyn shared equal time, now Lincoln lives primarily with his mother in Delaware during the school year, traveling to Virginia for summers, holidays, and long weekends. The logistics are complicated, but Kailyn insists she and Javi remain united, presenting Lincoln with consistency and love, even if the calendar looks different than before. For a boy who once was described as a spicy toddler, Lincoln now radiates steadiness, channeling his energy into sports and family loyalty, growing into the kind of big brother every household dreams of. If Elliot is the writer and Lincoln the athlete, Lux Russell, born in August 2017, is the firecracker. His arrival marked a turbulent period in Kailyn's life, as her relationship with his father, Chris Lopez, was fractured almost from the start. They broke up soon after Lux was born, and their on-again, off-again entanglement stretched into years of uneasy co-parenting. Raising Lux, for the most part, fell on Kailyn's shoulders, and she often had to face the added challenge of parenting under the gaze of critics. When strangers mocked the length of Lux's hair, she snapped back, vowing she would only cut it when he himself wanted to, not when outsiders decided it was time. When people shamed her for his late potty training, she defended her decision not to rush him, asserting that her children would move at their own pace. Each defense was not just about Lux, but about her philosophy as a mother, that individuality matters more than arbitrary benchmarks, that children deserve respect for their own timing. Lux himself has always been a burst of energy. Kailyn calls him her little Leo, born with an intensity that has kept her on her toes every day. His birthdays have become occasions to showcase his exuberant personality. In 2023, she threw him a WWE-themed party, complete with all the flair a wrestling-loving boy could want. At 8, Lux is fiercely independent, charmingly mischievous, and a constant reminder that motherhood demands flexibility and humor. Close in age but distinct in temperament, Creed Romello was born in July 2020, Kailyn's second child with Chris Lopez. Unlike Lux, whose arrival came with joyful chaos, Creed's pregnancy carried heavier emotions. Kailyn admitted on Teen Mom 2 that she considered ending the pregnancy, overwhelmed by the weight of raising 3 children already, and uncertain about her relationship with Lopez. Yet seeing his ultrasound changed her decision, and when he arrived, she embraced him with fierce love. She gave him the name Romello, meaning guiding principle, a symbolic choice for a boy whose very existence forced her to rethink what she wanted from life. Creed is now 5, a child she describes as a different breed, a boy with an unmistakable spark, unpredictable and bold. She jokes that he could one day be president, though she admits she has no idea exactly where his energy will take him. His nicknames, Romy, Mello, Biggie, capture his larger-than-life aura. He and Lux share birthday celebrations, often themed around their favorite wrestlers, and together they are the duo that infuses the Lowry household with constant laughter and motion. After Creed came Rio, born in November 2022, with Elijah Scott. His arrival was unlike her previous births because Kailyn chose to keep him a secret from the public for nearly a year. She revealed his existence on her podcast only in October 2023, explaining that she wanted to experience pregnancy and early motherhood without cameras, contracts, or endless speculation. For someone who had spent over a decade having her pregnancies dissected by strangers, the privacy was precious. Rio's birth itself was difficult, as he spent time in the MICU, and Kailyn later described his entrance into the world as traumatic. But once home, he revealed himself to be, in her words, the best baby ever. Easygoing, cheerful, a balm after the stormy years of raising 4 other children at once, Rio reminded her that sometimes motherhood could be simple joy. She even joked that being a mother of 4 was harder than being a mother of 5 because Rio was so undemanding. And then, in late 2023, came the twins, Verse and Valley, conceived just before a trip to Thailand and born via C-section 5 weeks early. They spent time in the NICU before finally coming home to complete the Lowry Scott household. Their names carry stories woven from both family influence and personal history. Verse came from Iverson, suggested by Lincoln, whose love for basketball is well known, while Valley honors the Lehigh Valley region of Pennsylvania where Kailyn grew up, a place she credits with shaping her into who she is today. By February 2024, she was sharing their names with fans on TikTok, explaining their origins, and emphasizing her desire to choose names that were meaningful, yet not too unusual. But being the mother of 7, of course, comes with constant scrutiny, and Kailyn has not been immune to criticism. In September 2024, when a TikTok commenter suggested she must not really raise her kids because she had help, she pushed back. Yes, she admitted, she employs childcare during regular working hours, just like many parents rely on daycare. But she rejected the notion that this made her any less hands-on. After 4 o'clock, she explained, if she needed help, she would have to pay for it herself, and she wanted people to stop discrediting the work she put in daily as a mother. Co-parenting remains one of the trickiest parts of her life, and she acknowledges openly that her approach shifts depending on which father she is dealing with. Joe, Javi, and Chris all have different parenting styles, and navigating those differences while trying to keep consistency for the children is a constant balancing act. She has said that sometimes she does not even speak to one of her exes, preferring to parent independently rather than clash over every detail. Looking at her life now, it is hard not to marvel at the transformation. The teenage girl once portrayed on MTV as overwhelmed and uncertain has grown into a woman who manages a sprawling household, multiple co-parenting arrangements, and a career in podcasting and media